Hello, lovely podcast people. This is a very off-the-cuff and presumably extremely short podcast episode. I was actually just doing a little bit of prep, looking at some questions that many of you commented on Instagram, so thank you for those, on protein for children. That will be either an episode before this is released or just after or at the same time. I didn't want this, what will perhaps come across as a bit of a rant, to take me off topic. I know how much some of the people on YouTube get upset by that. It's amazing, isn't it? Oh, let me tell you what I think about how you run your free podcast where you don't have advertising or sell me anything. My goodness, time out of their day to say that. So, it's about calories, and really, potentially, this will call out some people, not who I like, who are good people, and hopefully you guys will be all right when you hear it, and you will know that it's said in a nice way. And to be honest, you'll just focus on yourselves and your own business or whatever. But it's this idea of, oh, you shouldn't eat too few calories. You low calories bad. You didn't gain 10 kilos in 10 weeks, so you're not going to lose it in 10 weeks, whatever. I mean, no one ever says that. It's much more extreme examples than, one meal didn't fix things, so one meal didn't break things, and therefore one meal's not going to fix it, whatever. So it's just this idea of around calories, and more often than not, the people I've just described there are not who I'm talking about. It's more often than not people like non-diet people, anti-diet people, the whole, just kind of the nutrition realm people who have gone off the social justice deep end. I see so many of these people who found out about intuitive eating, found out about the fact that, oh my goodness, it becomes harder to lose weight as you lose weight. Oh my goodness, lots of people seem to regain weight. And therefore just took this idea of like, no one should ever intentionally lose weight. And now they're just anti anything that is basically people trying to improve their health via known mechanisms that we understand. So insulin resistance. We know that an energy deficit, a calorie deficit, the reduction of calories via a multitude of different methods leads to an improvement in insulin resistance, and then downstream from improving insulin resistance, we get different things. It's PCOS Awareness Month at the minute as I'm recording this podcast, and therefore if we improve insulin resistance, we can improve lots of the symptoms and negative effects that people feel as a result of it, people with PCOS. So the fact that they have elevated androgens, the fact that then that's causing increased facial hair growth or acne or, any of these, menstrual dysfunction, etc., etc. So, but basically just people who are anti, I'm about to do a reel tonight actually on some gimp who's gone, basically they've put glasses on and then not had glasses on, and it's like a doctor going, oh, you should be in a calorie deficit, you should eat 1,200 calories. And it's like, oh my goodness, that sounds awfully restrictive. And then they go back and it's like, well, you've got no willpower. And basically then goes on to say like restriction, these people putting people on restrictive diets, they don't know if you go on a restrictive diet, you'll gain more weight. Eat too few calories and the body will actually store those calories as fat. Like, they just do not understand human physiology. They're Muppets. But these same people, I'm kind of giving the game away, but I'm going to post this reel in like an hour, so it's fine. I'm not giving the game away. But they're then the exact same people who go, you should eat no gluten and no dairy. So they're Muppets. Anyway, the main thing, just as I was preparing for this protein podcast, I was just going through some of your questions about how much protein should children eat, teenagers eat, active, and I'm going to do that podcast for you. And then it just kind of cropped up in my mind, because what I was doing it's so annoying, and this is why I think the protein podcast will be really helpful. You get these recommendations based on like the age of the child, and they're just these absolute recommendations. But what if you've got a really tall kid, a super, muscular teenager, like as in you've got a rugby playing 14-year-old who's like super jacked, not only tall but wide and therefore heavy, and his protein needs are likely much higher. And then you've got these recommendations, and I'm not saying that the recommendations need to account specifically for those outliers, but the recommendations could very, very easily be given in a format that would allow you to make, so basically what I call, or what are called, relative recommendations relative to the size of the child. Because in an instance of protein, I mean, this is so off topic, sorry. This isn't going to be as short as it should have been, but relative to the size of your child, like protein is something that is really, our needs for it are relative to the size. There are other small factors, but really the biggest factor is how big you are. And then you've got kind of growth rate and activity levels and goals as you get older. But anyway, the point is this, and this is like the end of the podcast. People, time and time again, I see them going like, oh, you know, have you had a nutritionist or dietitian or personal trainer or someone tell you to eat 1,400 calories or 1,200 calories or whatever number of calories? Don't you know that's the number of calories that, you know, a 7-year-old would need? Or, you know, the maths is like what, a 25. Yeah, so it's like 5. Yeah, like between a 5 and a 7-year-old might need that many calories. And it's ridiculous, right? So I'll just explain, actually. The maths that I've just done there. Realistically, children, not realistically, but realistically, children are growing. This is the whole point. This is how dumb these people are, but no one ever questions it. Like, can you believe that someone's recommending an adult should eat 1,200 calories? Yeah, I can, because that adult has overeaten thousands and thousands and thousands of calories. Absolutely no judgment in that overeaten, but overeaten for their calorie needs. Thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of calories, and they now want to change. They want to make a positive change in their lifestyle, their diet, their health, etc. And one of the evidence-based ways of doing so is by being in a calorie deficit, so they're choosing to eat this many calories. Oh, don't you know that a 6-year-old needs 1,200 calories, and you're 30 years old and you weigh, 100% more, 200% more, 400% more than this kid. It's like, right, let's have a think about this. Children, what are children doing? Like a child between the age of 5 and the age of 14, 15, whatever, will more than double their weight. Literally will be like 250% of the weight they were. Okay, cool. Let's apply that same logic to an adult. Do you want, in 10 years, do you want to weigh 250% of what you do now? No, I want to lose weight / body fat. So these muppets going, that's enough for this child. Yeah, that's enough for a being who, 1, is insanely active, 2, is expending thousands of calories, 3, has the release of many, many different growth hormones which are making their body grow, and therefore they require building blocks, in the form of protein. They need energy from protein, carbs and fats, and then they need all of their micronutrients so that they grow up healthy. They need thousands of calories, or 1,000 or more calories in this instance. So like kids, anywhere from, if we talk about little kids like toddlers, they might need something like 80 times their body weight in kilograms, calories per day. So if a kid weighs 30 kilograms, or like the average weight of a 5 or 6 year old roughly is like 20 kilos ish. That's a very ish, that's like the median. And 50th centile if you look at those kind of growth chart stuff. And then so let's use that 20 times, what did I say, 80, that's 1,600. So 1,600 calories. And it might not be that high, but and it does depend on activity levels and these things. But this is where this factor of like, oh, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old might need this many calories. But the whole point is like, and those figures are from like 1 years old, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. These kind of ranges, 60 to 90, whatever calories per kilogram body weight needs. But it's ridiculous. Like, they're growing, they're running about all the time. They never stop moving. And they might need to be depositing some body fat for various growth spurts, if you want to use that phrase. But when you're an adult, it's even like your brain development is occurring and is energy expensive, and like the rate of learning for a child versus us when you're fully grown is hugely different, and hugely different energy needs. So anyway, it's just ridiculous. Stop it. That's really just what this was, just a little rant. And I suppose I'm just encouraging critical thinking. Like, when you see that, you might go, oh yeah, that is right. Like, my 7-8-year-old is having this many calories, or I saw this on a pamphlet. Maybe that's not right for an adult. And of course, it's potentially too few calories for you to maintain your body weight. But what if you want to lose body fat? That's the reason lots of people are dieting. And ideally, they would eat a very nutritious diet in those few calories, and maybe supplement with some micronutrients if possible. And if they're aggressive dieting, they're only doing it for a very short period. It's not for life, living and growth, in their pubertal or pre-pubertal years. Anyway, rant over. Next time you see a Muppet from this non-diet cult, anti-diet cult, anti-intentional weight loss, when people are trying to make positive changes with their lifestyle cult, when they say, 1,200 calories is enough for a small child, maybe you can remind them that those children are gaining hundreds of percent body weight, and an adult probably doesn't want to be doing that. Anyway, that's it. It's simple as critical thinking. Don't be a Muppet. Eating lower calories when you're trying to diet is a necessity. Unfortunately, there's no magic involved in this, sadly. Even if you're going keto or paleo carnivore. This is another thing, just to say, it's the same thing as when someone goes, we got it, we used to be cavemen and women. We should, eat like them, live like them. Like, as they are tweeting or posting on Instagram with an iPhone in the hand, walking in shoes, or maybe they're barefoot because they're so hardcore. But it's like, we need to eat like cavemen. We need to live like them. Despite the fact that cavemen had an average life expectancy of something like 30 years. So apparently, I've said this before, I'm no paleontologist, archaeologist, whatever, historian, whatever the correct term would be for someone who would know that fact. I am an above average nutritionist, and that is all. It's also a semi-professional comedian. Until next time, much love. And wannabe sex therapist.